Freeholder Amoroso.
Here.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Ortiz.
Here.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Here.
Freeholder Tinelli.
Here.
Freeholder Voss.
Here.
Chairwoman Zur.
Here. Evidence of a quorum is present. Will everyone please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So tonight's a very exciting evening because it's our first meeting that's being live streamed on YouTube to the public. Since I was elected to the board, it's been our goal to be more transparent and more accessible to the community at large. Our meetings on the road were our first step towards that goal, bringing our meetings out of this building and into the communities. But this step of live streaming our meetings enables everyone, no matter what cable company they have or where they live, to be able to see what's going on here in our county government. We're the first county in New Jersey to be live streaming our public meetings, and this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the technology upgrades championed by Chairman Tinelli. Steve, thank you for your vision and your hard work that made this possible. While fraught with some unanticipated challenges along the way, this has been brought over the finish line through the diligence and patience of Jared Lautz, Michael Scheinfeld, Frank Fuchs, and County Council, and our purchasing department. Thank you all for enabling us to interface this way with the public and for providing the residents of Bergen County with the opportunity to see the initiatives that we're all pursuing and that we're doing to make sure that the lives of the Bergen County residents are better. So that being said, will the clerk please read the minutes? Yes, Freeholder Gans.
If I may comment just for a brief moment on this, Frank Fuchs informs me that if any of the freeholders wish to have the Bergen Wellness Summit, normally you go like this. If you now go like this, it will automatically appear.
There you go.
Oh, my goodness.
There it is.
There it is.
That's an inside joke, people.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was his committee
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
That was
Will
the
the
first
clerk-
half of my report.
Will the clerk please read the minutes to be accepted?
Gladly. October 3rd, work session. Freeholders Gans and Tinelli absent. October 3rd, public session. Freeholder Gans and Tinelli absent.
Can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The minutes are unanimously approved. Can I now have a, yes?
Gentlemen, I abstain on as to those minutes that I was not present.
Thank you, Freeholder
Thank
Gans. May I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The meeting is now open to the public. We have a hearing of the general public with a 3-minute time limit in effect in accordance with the Bergen County Freeholder bylaws. The borough attorney is going to keep the time, and when the time of the speaker expires, the timekeeper is going to announce that the time has expired. If you haven't done so already, please fill out one of these little sheets of paper with your name and your general topic on which you wish to speak. Joe Gautier.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Joe.
I would like to thank Freeholders Voss and Gans for coming to our general membership meeting tonight and addressing our membership. Freeholder Sullivan, you'll be happy to hear that your fellow freeholders are pro-union. But in all seriousness, attending our meeting and answering our questions shows a tremendous amount of respect for our membership and the work that they do every day. You might have heard over the summer, Ambassador Murphy came and addressed our membership and answered questions just as you did tonight. We feel that, we should always support the candidates who support our members. So thank you for coming tonight. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So for the past 7.5 years, public sector workers have been much maligned. We have been, dragged through the mud by the current administration down there, and look forward to better days ahead. So therefore, I want to inform you that we have officially endorsed Bill Murphy for governor of the state of New Jersey. Thank you very much, freeholders. Have a good night.
Have it.
Thank you, Joe. Councilwoman Diane DiPaolo.
D-I, capital P like Peter, A-O-L-A, A-O-L-A, and it's Danielle, not Diane.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Good evening. Kudos on going live, something I've been trying to get our governing body to do for about 5 years now. Obviously, I'm here about the golf course purchase. I'm curious, the first that I heard of this officially was last week after, I guess your secretary sent an email to our borough administrator. And when I made mention to it last night at our council meeting, I started getting phone calls and getting pulled over all day today saying, didn't you know about this? Why didn't you tell us? From the residents that lived in the neighborhood, because they had no idea and they're blindsided. Can you answer if you've made any communication with the borough prior to officially saying that you were interested in purchasing it and what your plans were for the golf course?
Why don't you make your full comments and then we'll
Okay.
address them after.
Sorry, I thought we were gonna go back and forth.
It's not a conversation.
I also wanted to know if there was going to be any other purpose for the golf course other than running it as a golf course. I have heard rumblings that it is going to be anything from other recreational uses, that you're planning on selling the front in order to put affordable housing or townhouses in the front. I think you need to keep in mind that it is a single-family residential area, and I'm really here for questions, and I'd like to know what the intentions are for that property, and why the borough was not put on notice that it was happening. That's about it.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Are you going to be able to answer any of my questions? And then, excuse me, because I've never been to a freeholder meeting, is someone going to answer? And if they do, can I have a follow-up question?
First of all,
Or do I have
just
to sit
explain
down
to how it
again?
works. You'll have an
Okay.
opportunity again when the ordinance comes up to also have another 5 minutes at that point in time.
Okay.
So this is a time for us to hear from the general public, and then we'll answer to the best of our ability, and then
Okay.
we'll,
All right,
you
good,
know,
because
have
I'm
another
not
opportunity. But
familiar with the format.
So preliminarily, with regard to the intention of use, it's going to remain a golf course.
Okay.
And that's our intention. With regard to residents' notification, now I know the discussions with regard to, with the owners of the golf course, from my discussions with our Parks Director, there was some interaction with regard to both municipalities, Emerson and Oradell, to my understanding. But what I would be prepared to do is just revisit that with our Parks Director, and then he could give us all the dates and the different communications that were had with
Okay.
regard to it.
And I can assure you that the purpose of this is for preservation of open space. We want to make sure the residents of Bergen County have open space to be able to enjoy, and more importantly, to add to our golf portfolio. This is wonderful location right near rail and bus transport that's going to enable us to access additional users who are not getting to have access to our other golf properties. And the purpose of this is to preserve this and preserve that valuable watershed that's right there as well.
Can I comment back? Or should I come back
That's
later?
3 minutes,
It's,
Councilwoman.
yeah,
Okay,
your
thank
time's
you.
up, Councilwoman. Allison Morrow?
Sure, it's ALISONMAURO. I'm here representing Bergen Grassroots, and I first want to express our appreciation for the live broadcast. Thank you very much. I also want to announce our forum on October 24th, which is a candidate forum for the 4 candidates for Freeholder. Again, it's October 24th in the Teaneck Library Auditorium. It's at 7:15 p.m. And all 4 candidates are participating. And I just wanted to let you know some of the topics we'll be covering include decisions that freeholders would be making that can affect job opportunities, social services, education, storm preparation, public safety, recreation, and a couple of example questions. We're going to be asking about, in reference to Middlesex County's recent decision to to limit cooperation with ICE. We're going to be asking if Bergen County freeholder candidates have intentions to adopt similar measures. We're also going to be asking for the candidates' approaches or intended approaches towards managing the potential for federal budget cuts and how that would affect the county's commitment to care for the most vulnerable community members. Again, it's October 24th, 7:15 p.m., Teaneck Library Auditorium. The audience will have opportunities to ask questions. Also, please see our Facebook page. Bergen Grassroots has a Facebook page you can go to for more information. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Michelle Talamo?
Hello, everybody. Long time no see, huh? Yeah, as many of you know, I've come before you and have repeatedly noted that the past budgets for the county are not on a good trajectory for the hardworking, tax-paying citizens of Bergen County. I've also employed you as a body and individually to use your networking and influence to talk to the mayors of the various towns, to engage with them and the boards of education to find ways to alleviate the tax burden, which grows each and every year. The mayors always claim they have no control, but Friday night beers together, that they seem to be able to manage. Many of the county residents have to cut their budgets, their own budgets each year and be more stringent with their household disposable income because, quite frankly, there's less disposable income for the joys of life. Families have to move to other states to survive, which lessens the households paying taxes and thus making everyone else's tax higher. It has a domino effect which continues to raise taxes. It appears the boards and the mayors of the towns are deaf, dumb, and blind when it comes to a better way to manage their towns fiscally. They seem to be very capable, brilliant, and compassionate during election time, but afterwards they do little or nothing to be creative or imaginative on how to engage with service providers to sharpen their pencils and save money. My intention tonight is recently I read a report by J.P. Morgan which clearly depicts the fiscal condition of Bergen County to be in dire straits. I don't know if this is true, but I will share the article with you. I asked for a formal reply to whether or not it is true. I asked for a statement from this body in writing as to whether the condition of Bergen County warrants the escalation of taxes, the reduction of spending, or the increase in contributions to fix the county over the next 30 years. 30 years is a very long time, to be sure. Is there a plan, or are we kicking the can down the road? The people of Bergen County do not deserve this if it is true. Again, I say I don't know if it's true, but it's out there, and it should be dispelled if it is not true. So I formally request a response in writing within the next 2 weeks. And I have the article.
If you can just give it to Mr. Lass. Michelle, I want to bring your attention to two things. First of all, we actually reduced the county tax rate in this past budget. It was the first time we've been able to reduce the county tax rate. In addition, just to draw your attention to our agenda this evening, there are 4 different items, 962, 63, 64, and 65, all which are shared service arrangements, which we have almost every agenda meeting. We're having different shared service arrangements that we're entering into with the municipalities, ever mindful of the fact that we're trying to keep taxes down for the municipalities. The only way that we're going to really be effective is by working together and finding ways of collaborating to provide the valuable and vital services Bergen County residents expect at less cost. And so that's why we have an active, engaged department that's pursuing every shared service we possibly can to give municipalities that kind of tax break. So I think your perception is inaccurate. I haven't read the article that you're referring to,
I don't
and I'm happy
know.
to do.
I say I don't know whether it's true or not. That's why I'm coming to ask, because it is out there. That's why I share the article, because we need to have.
I can assure you that we not only have our pencils sharp, but really sharp, because we go through this budget line by line, and we're making sure that we deliver tax value for Bergen County residents, pursuing revenue opportunities, pursuing public-private partnerships, doing all that we can to innovate to keep our tax rate down. We are very mindful of the pocketbooks of all the residents of Bergen County. Freeholder Tonelli?
Okay.
The other thing is, with the state cutting as much money as they have, most municipalities were very reluctant to start trying to do shared services amongst themselves or with the county. But we have a department that's been aggressively seeking out, whether it's sharing equipment, emergency equipment, DPW equipment. These are all ways that your town can save because they won't need the equipment, they'll be able to borrow the towns. We've actually even gone with the advice or suggestion by Freeholder Sullivan, simplifying the process. We now have agreements with communities that they don't have to go through any long insurance process to borrow any equipment. We're already passing in the beginning of the year, so that the town just needs to make the phone call for that equipment to be available to them. That was made by Freeholder Sullivan, a suggestion while he was running 2 years ago. So we're doing everything we can as a board to try and help the municipalities, and a lot of them don't want it. They're starting to come to the table now and realize that it's the only way that we're gonna be able to control property taxes.
Yeah, I have a friend who's moving to Tennessee. Their taxes will be 10% of what they're paying here in Bergen County. I mean, it's pitiful. I mean, I know we're not Tennessee.
3 minutes has elapsed.
But when you look at it, it's unbelievable.
I'm happy.
They will have an
We look forward
additional
to reading the
income of
article, and
$1,200.
we'll get back to you regarding
Would you
any of the
please? I would
specifics.
appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And any influence you would have on the other towns
We
would be
work constantly
appreciated.
with all of them.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Just a quick point, just with regard to the county's overall health, the AAA bond rating is
exactly what I was
actually
gonna
still
say,
intact.
Julian.
And if you look at the previous budgets and you see the surplus numbers as well, that's evidence that the fiscal health of Bergen County is very strong. I don't know why they would say anything contrary in an article, but it's very strong.
I'm handing you the article.
We'll look forward to reading it. Chris Pinkler?
Chris, C-H-R-I-S, Pinkler, P-I-N-K-L-E-R, and I live in Waldwick. And as I said, I too am concerned about taxes. In my town, they send out a letter with the tax bill, and it breaks down the percentage that I'm paying to the different, right. I don't know if every town does this, but for Bergen County, every town does it? You're shaking your head?
Yes.
Okay. So they said that for the county, I'm paying 10.73%. Is that the same in every town? Is it about the same percentage? Really? So that's almost 11% of my tax bill is going to Bergen County. So I am here begging you to stop frivolous spending, because some of the people, we cannot afford it anymore. And you're smiling, you think,
No, the smirk is because we've been very, very diligent. We actually delivered a reduction of the tax rate in the past budget.
you know, it said in that same sheet, it said it went up 1.13%.
I want you to understand that that covers shared services for all 70 municipalities. That includes county roads, county parks, the county jail, the community college, special education. There's a whole plethora of services.
So in other words,
that
it's
are
always going to go up
provided-
anyway because
No,
of these.
No, we actually did not have it go up. My point to you is you're getting a tremendous value for the money that you're contributing to the overall tax of Bergen County. And so that's actually, 90% of it is your municipal budget that goes to pay for things at the municipality and your school board.
Actually, in the town didn't go up at all, My
And nor
town,
did the county,
yeah.
the rate did not either.
except for the school, you know,
Right.
those charges. So that's why I'm here.
We feel you, and the reality is.
You
we're-
feel my pain?
Well, we all do. We're all taxpayers in Bergen County, and the reality is that we're doing everything that we can, not only to hold the line, but to be innovative and seek out, as I said before to Michelle, public-private partnerships, just to seek out opportunities for revenue that we have previously unexplored. We're doing all that we can to hold the line and make sure that living in Bergen County is affordable and that you're getting the services that you need and that are valuable to you as well.
People in this state think that Bergen County is a very rich county. In fact, if you go for your car insurance, if you look for health coverage, if you're looking for assistance when you have an older person that needs some care, they charge more when you come from Bergen, when you live in Bergen County. Did you know that? Than they do than in other counties? You know that, right?
On insurance.
Yeah.
Well, we're close to Manhattan, too.
I mean, enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Sal Moretti?
He's there.
Salvatore Moretti, Alpine Drive, Paramus. I have addressed the board prior with regard to form and content. I think that it requires some concern because we are talking about, I think, two different things when we're talking about money and taxes. I think that values and priorities are also important. When I was born, we were involved in a $318 billion World War II, which undoubtedly had some impact upon our value system, both in the future and in the nuclear age, which was hatched thereby. I personally, of course, was involved in World War II in a rather interesting way. I came in on the heels of Upton Sinclair, whose multi-volume coverage gave voice to many dissidents in the Depression period from 29 to 39. He also ran in 34 for governor of California. The issue, of course, is that I was amazed that values in a nuclear age has at best been covered by Lee Majors in his televised series. And the bionics therein were positive bionics. But there are also negative aspects to bionics, and certainly within the Jungian and Freudian issues, those culminated within the concentration camps, both in the Transvaal period of South Africa and, of course, in Poland and Germany and the Netherlands, which I, of course, was intimately familiar with. The point here is that values and priorities should be uppermost in our concerns. And I see I have 248, 249, 250. I think that 3 minutes is a bit difficult for me to finish. I have about a minute more.
Not another minute, Mr. Moretti. I'll give you just finish up your thoughts.
You can't have a minute. Very
Not
well,
another
then I
minute.
don't have a minute.
Thank you. Paul Nichols?
Good evening, Paul Nichols. First of all, I'm just going to be really brief. I just want to thank you, Freeholders, sir, and Julian, for the researching on the Code Blue. So, and for people that don't know what it is, it's when the temperature gets cold to a certain temperature, that the vulnerable, the homeless have an opportunity to get help to a safe location. So I do want to thank you for that. And there was something else I was going to say, but I forgot. So I will just say happy birthday, Freeholder Tonelli, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. Kathy? Kathy Horniak?
Could we just let the record show that Mr. Nichols didn't wish me a happy birthday last week?
Happy to see, C-H-Y, Horniak, H-O-R-N-Y-A-K, happy birthday.
Good show.
I'm a resident of Emerson, and the golf course has been a nemesis to me. Right on Palisade Ave, Mrs. Ortiz knows the history. I just would like you to consider and keep in mind when you do make plans for the property, that it is a single-family neighborhood, much different than where your other public courses are located. It's a narrow, tiny street. Maybe consider the option of, since it is, there could be an entrance along Kinderkamack Road if you're going to do that, but maintaining the open space, we would love to see that as well. But, when I grew up in town, I'm there 49 years, that was a pool and a tennis court, and it's been converted now to this open space, and so cyclically, every 3 or 4 years, somebody decides they want to do something there. I told my husband, let's get out of here, let's sell, move the candy to the sheriff's office, we're here for a little while. Just would really like you to consider that it is a single-family neighborhood and development, there should be single-family homes if anything there. But Yanks are up for nothing, by the way, in case anybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that update. Barbara St. Martin Show.
Yes. Yes. Oh, thank you so much. Shall I still spell it? Okay. Chair, Freeholders, County. I'm a U.S. Air Force Cold War veteran, a member of the Fort Lee VFW, a member of the Foreign Affairs Director of the Korean American Vietnam War Veterans of Fort Lee, and a member of the Bergen County Veterans Advisory Board. I had forwarded some documents to you for your last meeting. I was unable to come, and one that I wanted to apprise you of, one situation is the Department of Defense has a program ongoing where organizations or governmental bodies such as Bergen County can be a partner with the DoD in commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. As you know, there's many things going on. Of course, Ken Burns' program. There is also, later this month, a gala down at the New Jersey Veterans War Memorial, and they're going to have Ken Burns there. There's an exhibition that just opened last week at the New York Historical Society, and one that closed on the Intrepid regarding Vietnam. So I have the papers. I had forwarded them to Jared, who I think forwarded them to you. It's free. And you need to just do 2 events a year for 2 years. One of the things you could do is put a missing man-woman table in, that's one of the options, over somewhere in the room, maybe even up here. And, I want to tell you, I had the pleasure last week of accompanying the Korean American Vietnam War veterans down to Washington, D.C. On Friday, we laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, and they had Korean American Vietnam veterans from many different states come, and we had a big meeting afterwards, but it was really very powerful, as it always is. So that was really pleasurable to, in a bittersweet sort of way, to be able to do that. And to invite you to a few things we have going on. And one is on November 18th in Fort Lee, there's going to be a reenactment. They do this every year, of General Washington's Retreat to Victory. Ask Joan, she'll give you the directions, Dr. Ross. The other is the Fort Lee Veterans Day. This year, we're going to have a rededication of the Vietnam Veterans plaque at Main Street. I might have had the wrong in Lemoyne. I think it's Main Street in Schlosser or something. But that's Saturday, November 11th at 11 a.m. And they're trying to get all the Vietnam veterans from Fort Lee to gather there. And then some very, very sad news. Just it was yesterday or today, one of our members of the Veterans Advisory Board passed away. And he was suffering from Agent Orange. Bill Watkins, Matt, I have a couple of these. And he'd been in and out of the hospital and having various things removed, diabetes, etc. So the wake is on Sunday, and then the funeral is on Monday morning. Of course, Monday at noontime we have the going on in the what is it, at the courthouse at the Joseph Hakem, the International Christian Union, is doing something for Beirut, a remembrance of Beirut. And then on October 22nd, we have at Camp Merritt, the historical, I know you'll be there. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your service and for bringing all of this into our attention.
Thanks.
Kenneth Hoffman?
Hi, I'm here to speak I'm here to speak about the purchase of the golf course in Emerson. I'm a former councilman in the Borough of Emerson. I was also chairman of the Environmental Commission. I'm somewhat skeptical of the rationale that preserving open space is the reason for purchase, because, as you well know, the property is deed restricted by the 1993 Bergen Swan Environmental Defense Fund agreement with then United Water, now Suez. No more than 15% of that golf course property can be increased to impervious surface. That's since 1993. I'm not aware that anything has, but the rest of it has to remain as open space. So it was going to remain as open space regardless. One of my concerns is, although you say your intentions are to keep it as a golf course, things change, demands change. And I know that there are always demands for ball fields, for example. Use of ball fields can change the amount of usage. The area, as has been previously mentioned, is a residential area, very narrow streets. You have a school right nearby there that not too long ago went to one way because of all the traffic problems. I would hope that you would give all considerations to possible changes in the future, that you have done your due diligence with a traffic study to determine that, and any cost to the Borough of Emerson. That's all.
Thank you, Freeholder Shelley.
So as far as you're saying that it may not be a golf course, may be a golf course, every conversation that I've had has always been about a golf course. We have no golf course in the portfolio now that is like Emerson's golf course. It doesn't have the distance, doesn't have the width and length. This is probably going to end up being the best course that the county actually has. That was the intentions of purchasing. That was the conversations that I'm sure my colleagues had with the Parks Director. So your concerns about it ever being anything but a golf course, as far as we're concerned, we're buying it to be a golf course. They're looking to probably improve the golf course and make it a little bit more higher end with the ability of bringing more tournaments. I don't know if you've paid attention. We've actually had some tournaments up in Darlington, semi-professional tournaments. We haven't been able, because of the way the course is constructed, we haven't been able to have professional PGA events there. But the idea here is to bring Emerson up to a different standard, even better than it is now, and be able to really offer a quality golf course.
We were told at last night's council meeting by our mayor, and I could be wrong, that there's going to be at least $1 million put into upgrading the golf course, and I'm not sure exactly what that entails. So it sounds to me like we very well may be looking for greater volume of usage there too.
Trace, I understand from my conversations as the chair of the Parks Commission is that it has not been maintained because of the wanting to sell the property for a long period of time. The investments weren't going back into it. So to get it into where it's playable and to be able to offer it as a playable course, there has to be some investment in to get it back up. That's, to my knowledge, that's what the investment is going to be to get this playable.
And just also to address, one of the things that was addressed during our work session today was the ROI, as far as what we're seeing as far as revenue from our other golf courses, and then therefore what we anticipate from this as well, so that this is an investment that we're going to be able to pay, that we're investing in preserving this property, preserving the open space character of it, and also being able to generate income from it that will feed it back into paying off for that investment.
Okay, I just wanted to go back to one thing. Has any traffic analysis study been done for that area? With the possibility, because it really does sound like you may, if it hasn't been maintained, and my sense is that the golf course isn't being used a lot, with a great upgrade, you can have quite a bit more volume probably of uses, which is what you're looking for.
3 minutes, Chairman.
So I would think that you would have a traffic assessment as well.
We'll address that in the next segment.
Thank you.
Ms. F. Moffitt, I don't know what the F stands for, I'm sorry.
I was listening to
Your full name, please, for the record.
How do I spell it? M-O-F.
Your first name as well. And your first name as well.
Pardon?
Your first name as well.
Florence.
Okay, thank you.
I don't understand, I mean, how many of you all grew up as comfortable, but the taxes I went from $12,500 to almost $16,000, I think in 16 years. But I don't think you guys realize how much money is being thrown away legally. They're doing work in Franklin Lakes now, cutting up all the roads, doing the electrical, I don't know if it's gas or the electrical, the wiring. The police cars that are used in Manhattan on the busy streets don't have as many police cars blocking off a street with the motor running at 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, with the gas on and the lights churning. All you have to do is go to Lowe's or Home Depot and get one of those battery-operated things with the lights turning. But everybody is getting paid a certain amount by law that they have to do this, which I think is ridiculous. And why does it take almost 3 weeks to pick up an animal if all this tax money is being used so great to pick up the dead animals on 208? There were 3 of them, a baby, and then whatever it is, it takes forever. So all the money that you guys are collecting, I don't know why you don't realize, and we're putting money into other things, but the services aren't any better. And why is all that money wasted? I said to the cop, you think you were on Route 208 or Route 417? Why do you have so many cars blocking off? I said, it's only a 1-lane. It makes no sense. Money is being thrown away, really, I'm telling you.
The issues that you're addressing to us are all local issues, and I certainly encourage you to go to your town council meeting and bring those attentions. But I just want to address the issues as far as the county is concerned. I can tell you that we are watching every penny, and that I invite you to come to any of our budget hearings, and
Can I just?
yes, Freeholder
So
Tonelli.
most of those jobs are whatever the company that's doing those jobs. For example, Public Service went on after a couple of the hurricanes. They went on a big tear on upgrading all of their services, making the poles taller, fixing all the transfer stations. So they paid, Public Service pays those police officers, pays your town a set rate for those police officers to be there. But hang on. So the town is not paying them eventually, we're all paying Public Service. I understand that.
We have to pay for they don't pay for
But
the
those road work, that's, your local municipality supplies safety for your residents based on that utility. That's not a county
not a
thing,
county
it's a utility thing.
Every county, then every state, every little piece of the government is taking and sucking. I know.
And that's why we're encouraging
So-
more shared services. That's why we're in constant dialogue with municipalities to try and engage in ways. It does, actually. Well, that's what we're trying,
Why is
that's,
everything going up?
Can I
She
just-
knows the
Yes.
numbers.
Just what, everybody has, the famous thing today that I keep laughing is the frivolous spending that everybody keeps saying when you come up to the microphone. So I would like to personally invite each of you, we start our budget hearings, they'll be advertised. I'd like you each to come in the room as we're going over the county budget line by line and have a little input. And then you'll see where every penny goes in the county. Well, then you wouldn't be saying it's frivolous.
No.
we are providing,
Well-
Why does it take so long then for things to happen, to pick up the animals that we're paying the taxes for?
no,
it's county.
there's county. Listen, I live also up on 208, and I will tell you, I know the animal situation. And part of that is a deer control population issue that we're gonna look into and analyze, because the reality is, part of the problem is there's no natural predators. The only natural predator is the SUVs on 208. And so I'm just saying the spate of it is crazy, and it's the volume. And so I'm happy to
I don't
address.
want you to do anything to the animals. I want you to pick up the garbage. That's all. The animals, that happens, that's life, all right? They're fine. I have 7 of them. I put
3
out
minutes,
the
Ms.
garbage.
Moffett.
Thank you
You have
very much,
7
Ms.
deer.
Moffett. Jason Kim?
How are you, everybody? My name is, last name K-I-M, first name is Jason, J-A-S-O-N, from Palisade Park. First of all, happy birthday for the 2 freeholders that we have.
I
I'm
appreciate
kind of here to, I think I owe you where this video jockeys, the program directors are here for. So I think I owe you explanation, so I was going to do that first. They are from Korea. They are one of the major TV broadcasting companies. And they want to learn about how our local governmentship is working. How do we make zoning laws, or how they make resolutions. and how those are affecting our residents in United States. So they chose to come to Bergen County. I didn't bring them here, but they found out nice things about Bergen County and all the towns, small town in our Bergen counties, and they want to have a footage about how we are doing and how the democratic programs and activities are going on. And then they want to spread this one to the Korean community in Korea so they can learn from our government, our activities. So that's why they are here for. So it's kind of a compliment to us. They're saying that we are doing something really nice. So despite of all the negative criticism and all the concern that we have, there are a compliments that people are saying to our governments, especially in Bergen County. Me as a board member of Bergen County Technical School, without your support, our Bergen Academy, Bergen Tech, wouldn't be ranking number 7 in the United States or ranking number 21 from another magazine, as well as New Jersey Magazine ranked us as number 5 and number 20. So all these things never would happen without your leadership, guidance, and support, and especially money that you give us to our not only bright students, but also the potential students who are not just into the education, the academic work only, but who want to learn many other job skills. As you know, our technical service program in Bergen County has not only Bergen Academy, which is the magnet school, but also we have trading schools, and we are doing such a good job because of you, your leadership and your money, and everything, every support that you are giving us. So I want to commend you, doing a good job. I was so excited and happy to bring the Korean medias because they select us as one of the #1 and most wanted to see and learn from. So that's why they are here. So I just want to explain you are doing a good job, and I just want to explain why they are here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kim.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing them here and for all of the hard work that you're doing as well.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the general public who wishes to be heard? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the meeting to the general public?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The meeting is now closed to the public. Will the clerk please read the resolutions on the consent agenda?
Resolutions 93217 through 98717.
May I have a motion to accept the resolutions on the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Amoroso.
Yes.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Ortiz.
Yes.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Yes.
Freeholder Tonelli.
Yes.
Freeholder Voss.
Yes.
Chairwoman Zur.
Yes.
7 ayes.
Thank you. The consent agenda passes. Are there any resolutions of non-consent pulled, postponed, or tabled? And if so, will the clerk please read?
There are none.
We are now going to go on to our 3 ordinances for second reading and adoption. Ordinances 1723, 1727, and 1728. Will the clerk read ordinance 1723 by title only?
1723 is a bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements by the County of Bergen, appropriating the aggregate amount of $4,300,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,288,000 bonds or notes of the county to finance part of the cost thereof. The proof of publication of the ordinance notice of public hearing was published in accordance with the law and is on file in my office. A copy of the notice of hearing and ordinance number 17-23 was duly posted pursuant to NJSA 40A:2-17 on Friday, October 6, 2017.
May I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is now open to the public for, with a 5-minute time limit in effect. The board attorney is going to keep the time. Is there anyone who wishes to address that ordinance only?
No.
Mr. Marty?
Salvatore Moretti, Paramus, New Jersey. I find it rather interesting that I have been in Bergen County now for 9 decades, and for some reason, when I attempted to secure placement in various schools, whether they be vocational, technical, or psychological services and so forth, I received scant attention. Inasmuch as I was assigned to be a guest of Carl Jung.
Mr. Moretti,
1943.
your comments are limited to this particular ordinance.
Quite. My statement here is that you are not spending money in the areas which are designated in the material set forth in your agenda 17-23, and that qualified applicants such as myself are given short shrift inasmuch as perhaps we are overly technical or overly well-trained, or having had many years of training, 19 years of training in your educational institutions, whether in Washington or in New York or in New Jersey. The issue here, as I said before, an issue of priority and an issue of values. And I think when we address the services provided to residents of Bergen, this is reflective not only of the cross-section of residents who are of youthful age, but some older residents as well. Special service schools, of course, came up in our writers' meeting in Hesburgh Heights, and has come up in a number of additional meetings in Paramus
Mr.
before
Moretti,
the board.
with all respect, the ordinance is for various capital improvements throughout the county, and unless I missed something, you haven't gotten there yet.
Well, the capital improvements, so far as I recognize them, would be for various visual education, visual audio materials, technical computer hookups, monitoring the student body and the educational curricula, which is set forth for the education and development of your target students. Since I have a certain amount of legal training from Washington, from New York Law School, from the United States Senate, from Congress in general, from having lived in Washington for 5 years, I noted that over the years, the investment in capital improvements has certainly changed. Some of the changes, of course, I have been part of. I recommended the internet services from Los Angeles, which I noted when I was guest of the Hollywood set in Los Angeles. And I think it would behoove us to give consideration to the changes in the internet, which could be augmented. I thank you.
Thank you. One thing I can say is, as far as our priorities and values, they certainly are in providing the appropriate education to our students and the opportunities, both in the technical, vocational, and special services, and I am very proud to lend my support to this ordinance. Is there anyone else from the general public who wishes to be heard regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the meeting to the general public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Meeting's now closed to the general public. Is there any board discussion regarding ordinance 1723?
Yes, I just want to point out that in the ordinance, we'll be spending approximately $850,000 for special services, and that's something we continue to do in Bergen County and will continue to do. When people talk about frivolous spending, this to me is certainly not frivolous spending when we're taking care of people with special needs. Thank you, Freeholders.
Freeholder Ross.
And I want to say that unfortunately, a lot of the public schools are eliminating vocational courses such as automotive and electric and carpentry. And we need these skills, and so we are addressing that. And I'm very much a supporter of vocational education as well as the services for the kids with disabilities.
Any other comment? May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1723 as read by the clerk?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Freeholder Amoroso.
Yes.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Ortiz.
Yes.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Yes.
Freeholder Tinelli.
Yes.
Freeholder Voss.
Yes.
Chairwoman Zur.
Yes.
With a vote of 7 ayes, 1723 is adopted.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read ordinance 1727 by title only?
1727 is a guarantee ordinance securing the Bergen County Improvement Authority's county guaranteed project note, the Emerson Oradell Land Acquisition Project, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $8,500,000. The proof of publication of the ordinance notice of public hearing was published in accordance with the law and is on file in my office.
May I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is now open to the public for public hearing with a 5-minute time limit in effect. The board attorney will keep the time. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Councilwoman.
Good evening again. Do I need to state my name again? Okay. You stated that there were communications with the borough, and do I have to open them, or is that something, since I've asked for it at this forum, that I can get copies of those communications? Because if there were official communications with the borough, I'm shocked that no one from our governing body or our borough administrator made a report at any of our meetings to let our residents in that area, as well as the whole town, know what was going to be happening in our town. You're talking about having tournaments there. Tournaments bring in a lot of people. There is a very small parking lot there. It could bring in hundreds of people, maybe 1,000. I don't know where they're going to park in that little tiny area of our town. I think I really came here to get some kind of a guarantee for the people of Emerson, to find out that you are not going to put any housing on the less than 5 acres that is towards the front of the golf course. That is the biggest concern for the people of Emerson. We're a small community. I think everybody knows we call ourselves the family town. It's a close-knit community, and if you're gonna come in and build something as large as I've been hearing rumblings about on the front of that property, and I honestly don't know the answer to this, and maybe county council could just answer this. If the county is going to do something with those less than 5 acres in the front, do you come to us for approvals, or you do come before our land use board? So then our land use board would have the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that. So thank you for giving me that information. So I'm most concerned about you building on those less than 5 acres in the front. Just as a little bit of an aside, just as a resident of Bergen County, my brother-in-law happens to be an expert in golf courses. He is the owner of RDC Golf, and he is an expert. And I did have a conversation over dinner with him on this. And he informed me that the county is grossly overpaying for the golf course. He himself and his company entertained many years ago, purchasing the golf course, and he understands the business, and he explained to me that the county would never be able to realize any kind of a profit from the golf course. When you open up a private, he explained to me that there's a lot of for-profit, privatized golf courses that can't make a profit. And if you're paying $10 million for something that, in his opinion, he told me was worth much less, it's throwing good money. Sorry?
We're not paying $10 million.
Well, if you put the 1.3 million
That's
that my mayor said, and then $8.5 million, it's close to $10 million.
It's actually 7.5, and the million's already incorporated into
The
this.
1.3 is already incorporated in
The
7.5?
$1 million
It's
is.
still a gross
But
overpayment
the
for it.
7.5 also, there's for the 5-acre parcel has a value separate and apart from the golf course,
Why is that?
because they're 2 separate lots. And the golf course itself is, I think it's slightly under 5 million, is the actual cost of the golf course portion.
Okay, so let me just ask, so since they're 2 separate lots, are you also interested in preserving the empty space on that less than 5 acres in the front that borders Palisades?
The whole point of this purchase, the entire point of this purchase, is to preserve this so that there's not a mass development of housing on this property.
Okay.
The whole purpose of us buying this property is to preserve open space and to make sure that watershed is protected. As far as the rumblings that you're hearing, I have no idea what rumblings you're hearing, because all of the conversations that I have heard have been focused upon how we're going to preserve this, how we're going to operate this as a golf course, and how we're going to make sure that we're protecting the environmental integrity and the impact on the community as a whole. So, you know, I value that you're here, and I thank you for being present tonight. I don't know what these rumblings, where they're coming from, but I hope that we've given you the information that you've needed.
Well, so I have a guarantee that you are not going to be doing any building on those less than 5 acres.
I can tell you that's not part of the conversations that I'm hearing at all.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Are there any other comments regarding ordinance 17-27?
Yeah, Freeholders.
One second, there'll be a chance for,
Okay, you're right.
can I have a motion to close the meeting? You have a wish to comment, Mr. Hoffman?
Kenneth Hoffman, Emerson. Two things. I just wanted to follow up just to clarify, and I'm sorry to be redundant if I'm being redundant, but in regard to that 5-acre parcel, 4.5 5-acre parcel in the front, there's no intention to develop it. There's no intention to sell it to anyone else. It is outside of the Bergen Swan agreement with United Water, so it is buildable compared to the other area. So I just wanted to be clear that there's no intention to build on that, including affordable housing, but there's no intention to sell that to anyone else.
We're in the process right now, Mr. Hoffman, of doing a complete assessment regarding our overall master plan, regarding how we're going to provide recreation services throughout the county, and we're eagerly anticipating that master plan input from Rutgers. We've been in an ongoing conversation and discussion with them, who are studying the overall assessment and use of our parks land. I can tell you that our priority is to use this for recreation, and that's why we're in support of this ordinance.
Okay, so, I mean, as your priority, but it does sound like there's a possibility, and I know this theoretically.
Listen, any conversations, as we just indicated, is going to have to come before your local planning board anyway. We're doing this to preserve this space, to make sure that it remains open space.
Okay, and just going back to my previous question, which you said you would address at this point, has any traffic study been done in anticipation of the upgrades that might bring in more people to that golf course?
From what I understand, there was traffic studies done on the Kinderkamak roadside, but not the smaller, what I understand about that smaller street.
Right.
There's no use anticipated that would create more of a traffic burden than the existing golf course that's been there all this time. So there's no plan for this use that is supposed to greatly increase the traffic that's going to be going in and out of the golf course. From the discussions I've had with our Department of Parks and the other people from who've been involved in analyzing this property for sale. So we're not looking to increase capacity there, if that's what the concern is with regard to the smaller street.
Not so much capacity as, I don't know what extent the capacity there is being used presently. My sense is that it's not being used to its complete extent, and that with the upgrade, it will be used to its complete extent and may end up with parking on local streets. So I do think it's your responsibility and responsibility to the Borough of Emerson to do a traffic study with the anticipation that you may get more people, because you're talking about these tournaments and these upgrades, and I think you will see a lot more usage of it. So I think the people of Emerson are probably waiting to hear from that. I mean, it was in the paper today. I can guarantee you that people are going to start perking up their ears in Emerson because they probably weren't aware of it before that. And you may be hearing from other people from Emerson as well, and from that neighborhood.
Right, but with regard to the traffic study, we would normally do traffic studies if we're looking to impact it in a way that's different than the current use. So if we were looking to expand use or put some sort of uses that would border on that, the traffic study would be part of that process. So what I'm saying is we haven't done anything in anticipation of creating more of a traffic burden or use in that area. And I know that our Parks Department and everyone who's been involved with this is very familiar with the area and very familiar with the fact that it's residential over there. And there's no plans that would anticipate a greater impact on the area.
Do you have statistics for how much usage right now is compared to what, I mean, you would have to get some sense of what is being used right now. Do you have statistics on that? For example, how much the parking lot's being used at this point? Because you're going to look into that as far as what may happen in the future with greater usage.
Exactly. So
that there's been statistics for that?
They have statistics. They did analysis. As part of the sale, they looked at what the volume in terms of the rounds that were played at the course. Going from private to public, the rounds are going to change in nature because naturally we all know with private courses there's a different amount of use and how you go about booking, et cetera, as versus a public course. But there's been in-depth details that have been looked at and obtained from the current owner in terms of how much use and how much traffic and what the volume of use of the course has been.
Are any of those details available in document form for the public?
I could check with our Parks Department in terms of whether the records we're looking at are the owner's records, or if we have them in our possession, then we would be able to produce that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Is there any?
Chairman,
Yeah.
I was just going to say that we've also been told that we're going to encourage golfers.
I'm going to close it to the
Master-
public,
oh,
and then
sorry.
we'll have an opportunity for board comment. Is there anyone else from the general public who wishes to be heard regarding this ordinance? Yes.
I'm sorry, I came late and I just state your name. Sure, Laura Walsh, Englewood, New Jersey. Hello, everybody. I Googled golf courses private, just in profit, to see what the scoop was. According to the New York Times, the statistics on golf courses seem to support a pessimistic view. In 2016, the number of closings, the numbers of closings outpaced openings, with the total number of operating courses in the U.S. falling by 171 to 14,117, according to the National Golf Foundation. That was down 5.9% from a peak of 16,000 in 2006. And it appears that there's a trend of wealthy individuals like President Trump who buy them as sort of a vanity, and they find it almost impossible to earn a profit at all. It's like owning a vineyard. So I just want to throw that out there. If you're going to open space, it's a great idea. I think everybody loves that. But golf courses are not profitable, and we're not in the golf business. So I'm just asking if you're taking that into consideration.
Our Parks Department actually is in the golf business with the number of golf courses that we have, but there's a major distinction between the private golf course operation and the public golf course operation. The last few years, a lot of the private country clubs have been practically giving away the memberships because they haven't been able to generate those dollars. The public golf course does not have nearly the same overhead and requirements that the private courses do. And we actually take care of the courses with our employees, so we don't have those same contracting costs. In particular with this golf course, as our Director of Parks had mentioned at the last workshop session, is the average course per round would probably even be a little bit less with regard to this course when we take it over, because our maintenance costs would not be as high as the current operators are.
Great, so you've given some thought, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
But I'm just
definitely done
wondering,
that.
are people, do you think you'll earn a profit
Yeah.
or cover expenses?
Absolutely.
You think you will?
Yeah, I mean,
Based
we
on
had
the
a
numbers?
presentation during our work session actually today regarding Valley Brook, which is the most recent course that we
Yeah, I got
purchased.
the numbers, I'll give them my
It was
report.
Okay, that's good to know.
Over a 12-year, the last 10 years since we've owned that course, there's been anywhere from $300,000 to $900,000 of profit. So the reality is that this is something that is going to be revenue generating for us for a long term to come, and give people access to play golf with the closings of so many of the private courses. There's actually more of a demand on the public side for golf rounds.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. Would you be able to post some of that research on your site? Because I think people would find that of interest, anything in the profit margin
and how you've been managing it so effectively for profit. I think that's really good news, and that would be good to know.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else from the general public wishing to comment on this ordinance? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. The meeting to the general public is closed. Is there any board commentary on this? Freeholder Sullivan, you started before.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to address what the councilwoman was talking about, and I thank her for coming and being concerned for her residents. But like Freeholder Zor had just stated, Valley Brook Golf Course was purchased approximately 10 years ago for $10.3 million. And in those years, the profit has, the net profit, that's after everyone's paid and all the operating expenses are paid, the net profit has gone from $355,000 one year up to a high of $936,000 in 2014. Last year, the profit of that golf course was $518,000 to the county. So as Freeholder Zor so eloquently stated, when other courses are closing and the public course will get to play, we will generate the revenue that we need to pay for this. So I just wanted to point that out, and I appreciate, I want to call her Danielle again. I appreciate Councilwoman DiPaolo, her input, but right now, I would say that a golf course for a county level has proven to be very profitable for the county. At the same time, profitable for the community, and that it is going to preserve the open space for everyone that is in that area. So I think this is a win-win for Bergen County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I was going to say that in terms of parking, which could be an issue, truly, we have been told that we are going to encourage golfers who come via mass transit, since we're close to the train station and bus lines. So.
Anyone else wish to comment?
I
Freeholder
do.
Ortiz?
I'm also a concerned resident of Emerson, and I'm extremely glad that it's going to be preserved as open space and be kept as a golf course. I sat on the Land and Use Board for 8 years in Emerson, and I know what the residents' concerns are. We had various projects come before us that were quite large, and they would definitely be an impact to the surrounding area, and I voted against it because I did not welcome it. So when this was presented to us, I was actually very happy because I thought it was a win-win situation, not only for the town, but also for the county. And I think there could be a lot of opportunities. Having a golf course right there, who knows, the high school could take advantage of it and have an actual golf team, or I think there could be so many uses to the golf course and to the residents of Emerson and to the county. And with the beautification of it, most homes that are near golf courses, they help the property value. So overall, I think it's going to be great. I think this is, like you said, it was a win-win for both the residents of Emerson and for the county. Thank you.
Any other board comment? I just want to add, we also have a long track record of working well with Emerson, whether it has been on the improvements that on Kinderkamek Road or the building of the disabled veterans housing. I know that we're going to work successfully to make sure that this is something that's advantageous for all the residents, and I'm committed to making sure that that's the case. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1727?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Can the clerk please call the roll?
Freeholder Amoroso?
Yes.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder Ortiz?
Yes.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Yes.
Freeholder Tinelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Voss?
Yes.
Chairwoman Zur?
Yes.
With 7 ayes, 1727 is adopted.
Will the clerk please read ordinance 1728 by title only?
1728 is an ordinance establishing the revision to the speed limit along County Route Number 503, known as Kinderkamek Road in the Borough of Oradell, from the River Edge border to the New Milford Avenue in the Borough of Oradell. The proof of publication of the ordinance notice of public hearing was published in accordance with the law and is on file in my office.
May I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The public hearing is now open with a 5-minute time limit in effect. The board attorney will keep the time. Is there anyone from the general public who wishes to address ordinance 17-28? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Freeholder Amoroso?
Yes.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder Ortiz?
Yes.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Yes.
Freeholder Tinelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Voss?
Yes.
Chairwoman Zur?
Yes.
With 7 ayes, 1728 is adopted.
Thank you. We will now have freeholder committee reports. I ask that we just keep them succinct. Freeholder Teller, why don't you start us off?
Okay. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Keep it succinct.
So tonight, I was proud to sponsor Resolution 97817, which authorized Bergen County and the Meadowlands Conservation Trust to develop a new Merhoff Pond Wildlife Observatory area in Little Ferry. The property will be transformed into a public recreation area that the Parks Department will begin to design and operate. It's no secret to anyone in this room that Bergen County has some of the best parks in the state of New Jersey, and we're very proud of that. Also, I'm excited about the passing of ordinance, the second reading of ordinance for the Emerson Golf Course purchase. I just want to thank the administration for their hard work in getting this to the finish line. And I just want to thank the Parks Department for always looking to improve opportunities for Bergen County residents. With the closing of all these clubs, it's just giving our residents a bigger opportunity to play golf. Thank you.
Freeholder Sullivan.
I'm going to try to be succinct, but I want to bring to attention the resolution 94317 tonight, which is to enter into contract with Intervention Strategies. As Freeholder Tonelli said earlier, I am proud to sponsor that. It is, again, a mental health issue that we continue to make sure we stay on top, regardless of the money that's been cut from the state. Bergen County has made a commitment, mental health, stigma-free, everything, and we will continue to do so. And I want that to reflect in 94317. Freeholder Zor mentioned the shared services. We also had, we're talking about saving money. We had the first 5 things on our agenda tonight was application and acceptance of grants. So we continue to work for ways to save money for our county residents, along with the shared services, and continuing to be out in front of getting grants and applications. I think we are far from doing anything that's frivolous here in this county. Really, that's about all I wanted to add, except for just one more thing on the golf, is that when we talk about tournaments, we're not just talking about a whole bunch of men getting together for a big tournament. We have, in our county, we have special needs tournaments. We have things for people with mental, we do everything here. It's not just for adult men or women to go, blow off steam. We take care of people with these tournaments. I was happy to attend a few of them this year, a few special service tournaments. And if we can continue to do things like this in Bergen County, this is why people want to live here, and this is why people want to stay here. Thank you, Freeholder.
Thank you. Freeholder Ortiz.
The past week, I attended the Bergen County Job Fair. It would take place at Bergen Community College. It was very well attended, and I was happy to see over 100 companies registered, and I'd say about close to 1,000 people went, and I'm just excited that all these companies come and seek employment from our residents of Bergen County. So I was very excited to see how the job fair seems to improve each year. We also celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month at the Piazza this past week, and we honored 7 outstanding Bergen County residents from government, education, law enforcement, business, medical, public service. We had a wonderful public speaker, and she spoke about all her experiences as a student, as an undocumented student, to later receiving her green card and how she's giving back to her community, being on the Board of Education of Hackensack, amongst many other organizations that she belongs to. During the Hispanic Heritage Month, we also kicked off Hurricane Maria relief, where we'll be collecting items not only here at One Bergen County Plaza, but also at Newbridge Medical Center, which is the previous Bergen Regional in Paramus, and we'll be collecting until the 31st. I have it posted on my website, but we are collecting everything from diapers to canned foods, women's feminine products, so on and so forth. So I welcome everyone if they please want to donate, and we'll be having that till the 31st. Thank you. That concludes my
Thank you,
report.
Freeholder Ortiz. Freeholder Amoroso.
Mention that.
Oh, okay. First of all, this is Down Syndrome Awareness Month, as Freeholder Sullivan wants you to know. And that was our resolution number 940 today. On Wednesday, October 4th, I was part of the celebration for Columbus Day and the Italian-American flag raising here in the County building. In Bergen County, Italian is the most commonly identified first ancestry amount among county residents. That's 18% of our population, almost 170,000 Bergen residents. Our own freeholder, Steve Tonelli, made the commemorative Peter Rodino list of Italian Americans on InsiderNJ.com. Congratulations. Along with Bergen County Executive Jim Tedesco and Congressman Bill Pascrell. I thought Bill Pascrell was Irish. On Wednesday, October 11th, I and a number of other freeholders attended the ribbon cutting for the 14-unit Emerson Veteran Supportive Housing Complex. We got to tour several of the bright and open one-bedroom units. One of the new residents told us he was on the brink of being homeless, and now he can relax in his own home. The project was $3.1 million, primarily financed by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, but the rest was paid for by the Bergen County Housing Development Corporation, and the land was donated by the local American Legion Post. On Saturday, freeholder Zur Ortiz and I took part in the Center for Hope and Safety's annual walk. They told us that every 9 seconds in the U.S., a woman, mostly the victims are women, is assaulted or beaten, every 9 seconds. We salute both the Center for Hope and Safety and our Bergen County Alternatives to Domestic Violence for the role they play in protecting and supporting folks whose lives have been roiled by violence from those they know and love. Later on Saturday, I attended a fashion show sponsored by the Ridgewood Access for All Committee. The participants range from little kids to teenagers to a couple of guys in their 30s and 40s. Ridgewood Mayor Susan Knudsen narrated the proceedings. Our Disabilities Division Director Jim Teaberry stage managed, as he always does, and the participants seemed to enjoy strutting their stuff. Their families were very proud. Thank you.
Freeholder Ross.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I was contacted a while ago by a Korean TV network, and they were very interested in what a freeholder does and who the freeholders are. And I spent quite a bit of time today with them explaining what we do, why we do it, and the origin of the term freeholder, which is, we're the only state that uses that term, and that's why it's very confusing for people. It's a 300-year-old term. And it meant that 300 years ago, somebody who did not own land without a mortgage or any encumbrance could not vote and could not run for office, hence the term freeholder. And as a historian, I like the term, but I spend a great deal of time explaining what it means. And they were very impressed. They wanted to stay for our meeting, and so the Bergen County freeholders will be stars on Korean television one of these days. I'm very concerned with our veterans, and you saw a lady here early in the evening talking about some of the events that are going to take place. November 11th is very, very important. It's Veterans Day, and we now in Bergen County are paying a lot of attention to the needs of our veterans, and will continue to do so. It's going to be the 50th anniversary of the beginning of the Vietnam War, and there'll be a commemoration in my town talking about how badly those GIs and soldiers were treated when they came back, and we're going to revitalize the monument in my town commemorating those who lost their lives in the Vietnam War. A lot of people don't realize this, but not too long ago we observed POWMIA a day, and many people don't realize that there are still 90,000 soldiers who have never been accounted for, whether it was Korea, Vietnam, World War II. And this is, they're still trying to, locate these bodies to give families closure. And the lady also mentioned that on November 18th, we have in Fort Lee a big ceremony called Retreat to Victory. It's commemorating Washington's retreat from Fort Lee and how eventually we won our independence. And I urge you to come out, because we always have recreators of all of the different soldiers' uniforms, and we shoot off, muskets, and it's really something for the kids to really remember their history. It's very, very important. And many of my colleagues have spoken about the Emerson Veterans Home. I can't tell you what a wonderful, wonderful experience it was to see these 14 homes that were built on the American Legion property, and how grateful the people who are now going to be the residents of these places. No veteran should go without services or without a home, and they certainly did a wonderful job in Emerson. And this Sunday is going to mark the 100th anniversary of Camp Merritt. If you go out into the lobby, you will see this, and it's mind-boggling to think that from this one place, I believe it's located in Dumont, more than 1 million soldiers left that camp to go to fight in World War I. And World War I really was the impetus of making us the greatest nation in the world, because we kind of like saved everything. And so I think it's very important to commemorate that. This past Saturday, the Fort Lee Chamber of Commerce recognized 2 very nice gentlemen who have done a tremendous amount for New Jersey, for Bergen County, and for Fort Lee. Armin Pohan and Lee Cohen were the honorees at that. And I just want to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart. This Friday, a group called Project Literacy is having a gala at Stony Hill. People don't realize how many people cannot read. Even in Bergen County, we have over 100,000 people who cannot read above maybe 2nd grade level, which is really, and Project Literacy is a group. It's for free, it's for adults only, it's one-on-one, 1 tutor and 1 person who needs assistance, and it really changes people's lives. So, you know, it's really, really, if you know anyone who has an issue with reading, Project Literacy, just Google it on your computer and you will find out how to get an application, and it has literally saved people's lives. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Freeholder Voss. I'll go ahead and I'll give my committee report, and then we'll get back to Freeholder Gans. As Freeholder Mercer touched on, this week we went to the Center for Hope and Safety Walk, where there's also a vigil earlier, I guess it was the middle of last week, where the families of those who've lost loved ones to domestic violence who live in Bergen County were there to pay tribute and to remember, and to highlight the fact that domestic violence is something that knows no demographic. There's no, all ages, all races, all ethnicities, all incomes are affected by domestic violence. We have amazing people here in the county in our alternatives to domestic violence that help both the victims as well as the abusers, so that we can figure out how to put their lives back together again, and so that we can try and end the cycle of domestic violence. So I want, especially as we are in Domestic Violence Awareness Month, thank those employees profoundly for their work and their efforts. I have the privilege of being the honorary chair of the 50th anniversary committee for Bergen Community College. It's been 50 years since we started to have students at Bergen Community College, and this college that was originally envisioned for 1,700 students is now home to almost 17,000 students, and it's giving individuals an opportunity to get an associate's degree, 2 years of their education at a fraction of the cost that it would cost a private university. It gives our residents, as Michelle knows full well, opportunities to retrain and get skills when they're displaced from the workforce. It helps individuals with special needs. It is an amazing community college. It is ranked #1 in the state of New Jersey. It's in the top 20 in the country as well. We are really proud of Bergen Community College as one of the gems in our county. And right now, as it was at the faculty kickoff this week, they announced their 50 for 50, $50 to be preserved on a wall, but really to be able to endow scholarships going forward, and to be able to provide continuing needs for those who have financial need at the college. So I encourage people to go onto the website, 50.bergen.edu. It's an opportunity to interact, share your memories about your community college experience. If you went to Bergen, you make a pledge to the 50 and 50 campaign, but really to get a sense of not just the past and the history of the college, but the direction it's going in the future, and how it's going to continue to be a vital asset in Bergen County, both for education, retraining, and special needs perspectives. Also, at Bergen Community College, right now they're having a clothing drive. There's this thing called Room for Success, which gives young people who are going on job interviews professional clothing so that for many of those students, they can't afford to have that kind of clothing. And it's kind of like a library. They can go and take out the professional clothing, go on their interview, hopefully land the job. And if they do so, they can keep some of the clothing as well. They're doing that clothing drive at Picken Education Center, 400 Paramus Road in Paramus. They're starting to be accepted now in room B105 from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and they have to be dry cleaned before they're dropped off. This really gives our young people and all of those at Bergen Community College, used by our veterans, our seniors, and everyone, an opportunity to make the best first impression on their job interviews and give them that opportunity for success. The one thing I wanted to highlight is from our agenda tonight was item 963, which is a shared services arrangement regarding law enforcement records management systems hosting, which is something we're doing in Bergen County. One of the largest costs for keeping things like the video storage from data from the road cameras, the dash cams in police vehicles, is storing that data. And we are able to provide that at a reduced cost here in Bergen County. We signed a shared services arrangement with Little Ferry last week. This week it's River Edge. For anyone, go to your towns, talk to them about it, encourage them to engage with us on sharing their records for management, and therefore being a tax savings to the local residents as well. That's my committee report. Freeholder Gans.
I gave the first half of my committee report a little bit earlier.
Wellness card.
That was, when I pushed the button, it went to Bergen Wellness. Anyway, let me give the other portion of it. Those of you who know me well are aware that I'm speaking with a different cadence right now, and that is because I had deep brain stimulation, brain surgery. I had 2 surgical procedures, one of which had a poor outcome, the other of which I think had a very good one. I'm very happy to be here. I thank all the people for their good wishes, and and mostly for the prayers. Speaking of the power of prayer, I had the occasion to visit 2 churches that I attend periodically from time to time, and I was reminded how much I enjoy the power of prayer and the power of song. When I first became a freeholder 15 years ago, the complaint that was made by the ministers, almost as a whole, was that we freeholders came to church to talk every 3 or 4 years, and that we did not carry back the messages. I said at that time that I would make it a pledge to go to church on a regular basis, and I go about 50 times a year. And I started going to Ebenezer Baptist Church when Vernon Walton, who was a member of this board, went, and as I always said when Vernon spoke, I didn't want to be the person that had to follow him. All of the powers that I have come from the Almighty, and I thank all of you for your attention and wish everyone a good holiday season. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Freeholder Gans. Is there any other business to come before the board? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Meeting stands adjourned.